the things that I really encourage creative entrepreneurs to do is.
All right, Doc. Nice to have you here today.
Thank you for having me.
I mean, it's quite interesting that over the past couple of weeks we got to meet each other, and I came to know the work that you do, which is what actually inspired me to invite you on the show today. The show is typically called Venture Valley, and the goal of the show is actually to capture stories around those who are building from Africa, for Africa, and lessons they are learning, to be able to document those journeys that they've all gone through and all they are going through. And we speak to people across various interest points, but majorly focused on Africa because we believe that Africa is now. So we're very grateful that you could make out time to join us today. I remember that when we met, we spoke about the work that we do with the Africa Creator Report, and you told me about the work you're doing with Heva Fund in Kenya and across Africa. So I was really excited for this episode. So, but for those who will be joining us and who will be meeting you for the first time, can you please introduce yourself at how you best introduce yourself to the audience?
Wow, that's a good challenge. So I am Dr. Karimi Ngeera. I'm the finance director at Hiva. I work within the creative and cultural industries, and it's a field that I really, really enjoy working in, because then the people that work within the creative space are the people that we get to work with make us very happy. I'm sure when we attend concerts, we are happy. When we go to watch a play, we are happy. So I really love working with the entrepreneurs, the creative entrepreneurs. Other than that, I am a mother. I am a runner, and I say I'm a retired hiker, but I want to get back to hiking next year. Yeah.
Nice. Retired hiker and a runner.
Yes.
It's quite interesting also that, did you run this morning?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Actually, I'm trying to pick up running. So, you're talking about the cultural and creative industries, right? What does that cover, and what's currently the work that you're doing with Hiva to help the cultural and creative industry?
So creative and cultural industries there are very many subsectors within the creative and cultural industries. They could be fashion. They run from fashion, they run from fashion, music, TV, visual arts. It's quite a broad. There are many broad subsectors within the creative economy. And what we do at Hiva is to support the creative entrepreneurs through financing, through capacity building, as well as research, because then there are many organizations who'd like to come into the creative economy and probably do provide some financing, but then their primary previous economies were either agriculture, tech, but then they don't have really deep understanding of the creative economy. So what we do commissioned research work for organizations, but as well also internally as Hiva, we do our own research work just to inform fundraising and to inform what are the needs in the market. Because then also when you're providing a solution to the market, you don't want to go and provide a blind solution. You need to speak to what problems the creative entrepreneurs are facing. So we do a lot of research work to inform what we are providing to the sector. And to the question you've asked, what the difference between creative and cultural, there's someone who keeps defining cultural practices as what we enjoy for free. Like when you visit your grandmother and you eat the food, it's different, but then it's free. But then when you help your grandmother to open a cultural heritage hotel to sell the food, then that's creativity. So culture is something that we are able to enjoy at no cost. But then when we now move these culture and cultural activities to make money, then they become creative. Yeah.
So, it's quite interesting. Like, there's been a whole global shift and a whole global interest in the creative economy, and there's been a whole lot of conversation. And I know Heva is one of the frontline players. By the way, I know what Heva means. Let me just say that because I found out. I heard it was a secret. I saw it in the. Yes, I heard it was a secret for 10 years.
Yeah.
Yes. So I just said I was going to tell you, I now know what it means because I always wondered what it meant.
Now
So
you
I
know.
watched the 10 years documentary and I
Yeah.
was like, oh, happily ever after.
Yeah. Yeah. That is our goal, to make sure that the creative entrepreneurs have a happy life, because they make us happy. So as Eva, what we strive to do is, as they make their customers happy, we also make them very happy. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I mean, so what has the research been saying so far from your findings around the creator economy across Africa? There's been a whole lot of conversation around the fact that, yes, there's a lot of creator economy funding coming to the market, and then there are also conversations around the fact that creators are not ready. The statistics are not necessarily, some people even say that maybe it's just a trend or a flash in the pan. There has been lots of conversations around that. But from your research, what have you been seeing that is quite
Mhm.
interesting? And what do you think the gaps are? And how do you think we can fill it?
Wow. Okay. That's a huge question. I'll try to remember if
Yes,
I'll try, and then if
we could take it like an elephant, one bite
yeah,
at a time.
one bat at a time. So I think I could start with what research has shown. The creative economy is able to, and also it was also part of the African Creators Report that you did, is about how it's able to create meaningful work. There are so many creative entrepreneurs within the continent. So it's us as investors pushing and growing them to build sustainable businesses. Because what creative people have been viewed previously as is, you do it as a hobby. You're a lawyer by day, but then you sing in the evening. You are an accountant by day, but then in the weekends you make a few garments for your friends. So it's moving it as a side, mostly moving it from being a hobby to being creating a livelihood out of it. So then it's us also as investors to try and create innovative financial tools for them to be able to access financing. Because even recently we had an open day in Kisumu. Kisumu is a county within the country, and one of the filmmakers said they've been able to make a film, yes, but they were only able to access financing because they were salaried. So they took up a debt from their salaried portion to get money to make the film. But then that ideally should not be the case. We should have an ecosystem where, as a filmmaker, I'm able to come and get financing to do my film, and also I'm able to get an access to market. I'm able to get revenue from it. So, for my perception, I would think there's a lot of work. There's a lot of meaningful work to be that young people, not really only young people, we've seen people who come to the sector, who come back to the sector when they are probably even above 40s, above 50s, especially for women, because then we've seen women taking breaks when they go to have children, to nurture their families, and then come back to probably do their creative art, could be in fashion. So it's really it's a very good avenue for work, and not just work, meaningful work. You can actually make a livelihood from it. Yeah. What was the other
Yeah, I
part of
mean,
the
so
elephant?
I think I like the way you said the meaningful work because I actually understand that, being a creator myself, the fact that we actually love what we do and gives our lives meaning. I always like to emphasize that a lot of times that creative work gives your life meaning and it also gives people's lives meaning because what's a world without stories?
Yeah.
What's a world without music?
Yes.
What's a world without art? What's a world without colors? It's
Hmm.
going to be one sad place to live in,
Very
and I
true.
think it is actually going to be one sad place to be. But from the interventions and the gaps that you've been seeing in the markets,
Hmm.
um, they've been seeing that a lot of creators are not necessarily investable.
Hmm.
And there's been also the creator saying there are no investments. So
Hmm.
it's almost like a chicken and an egg kind of scenario
Hmm.
whereby investors are saying, I want to invest.
Hmm.
Recently at Canex, we saw they spoke about, is it $1 billion or $2 billion? I
Yeah.
didn't, I think I got the, yeah. And towards the creator economy. And I saw an article around it, and the person was saying that will this money get to the right creatives, or will it just go to the typical celebrities, or maybe you go meet an actor and an actor gets all the money because he's a known face in the field? You know, that's typically the lazy approach that I see most investors take. So what are you finding, and are they right? Are they wrong?
I would say there's truth. There's a bit of truth, but then also there's a myth that needs to be actually told what is the truth. Because then when you say there are no businesses, when investors say there are no businesses to invest in within the creative economy, I would say that's not true. Because also, as Hiva, we've been doing this for 10 years. We found viable businesses to invest in. It's just that as an investor, you have to put in the work. So for us, one of the things that we do pre-investment support. So then as you come to the business, you know where they are at. So if it's someone who is doing film production, just go to them, be ready as an investor to put in the work in terms of doing the pre-investment support. Get to assess where are they at in terms of their bookkeeping. Do they have pre-existing debt? What are their gaps? And then from that, once you provide your investment, also then you cannot be a typical bank where you just provide investment and just wait for your repayments. No, you have to walk the journey with these businesses. So as Hiva, one of the things that we've really championed for the last couple of years is to provide post-investment support to the businesses. So also as part of my work at Hiva, I lead the post-investment support. So one of the things that I do with the businesses that we've supported is we have one session that we call the visioning session, where we just sit with the business owner and understand what does success look for you. Because also when investors provide money, there's what success looks like for us. But then for you as a business owner, as a creative entrepreneur, is that really success? So we have that exercise where we just sit and understand what your success is. And at times we get really surprised by what success means for creative entrepreneurs. Some of them say it's...
Tell us, what do you typically find?
One of the most interesting ones I found was I want to grow my business, but not to expand into a second shop. Not to open a new branch. I want to be able to pay medical insurance for my staff members. I want to be able to pay pension for my staff members. For them, that's success. But then for us as an entrepreneur, as an investor, we want to see you growing into a second location, a third location. So it's not enforcing what success is for us. It's understanding what success on the other side is and working to make sure that they achieve that. So, and when this week on Monday, when we were speaking with the business, they said special and medical insurance for the staff members, and they were really happy. And we could tell that was what success meant for them. So it's for the investors to understand what success means. It's not because you're providing money, then you have to predefine and tell someone, I need you to do X, Y, Z. But also as a challenge to the creative entrepreneurs, there are things that an investor wants as a basis. If it's bookkeeping, have your bookkeeping in order. If it's having plans of how you're expanding, what is your access to market plan, how are you planning to get your next revenues? It's also a challenge the creative entrepreneurs to also be ready to get investments, because then you could be seated and producing probably artwork or garments, but then you've not thought of what if I get an investor, what would that journey look like for me? So it's also the challenge of the creative entrepreneurs to also be investor ready. But that Hiva, we also do capacity building. You don't need to necessarily get money from Hiva for you to enjoy capacity building. We do workshops just to teach them about these are the requirements, this is what investors normally look for, and this is how you can this is how you can start building your journey up to before you get an investor. Yeah.
How would you for the creators who are typically watching this, what does it mean for a creator or a creative or a cultural investor, whichever one, so far you fall within the CCIR industries? What do you need to do to be called investor ready? What do you look out for? And what do you typically need to put in place?
So I'll say from previous work that we've done, we've realized also we are trying to prescribe a drug that's not what the creative entrepreneurs are looking for. So over the years, we've tried to allow the entrepreneurs to come as they are. What do you have? So I'll give an example for maybe someone who is a stand-up comedian. they have an M-Pesa number where they get booked for gigs, they just get the money to their mobile number. So for that, we have tools that can help do the analysis to find out how much can you be able to assess. But then also, as you move up, when you want large investments, then you need to have bookkeeping, at least have your income statement. You can actually tell an investor, in the year 2024, I was able to make 10,000 USD. And you can actually tell them, from this 10,000, my profit was 2,000. You have documentation to support that. So it's that documentation at times that's usually lacking. Most of the time that is lacking, but then we've tried to also have products that speak to the entrepreneurs who are just starting. So someone who's just finished their A-levels, they are probably in their first year of campus and they are very good DJs. So for them, we allow them to just come and assess a small portion of amounts. I think our lowest investment goes as low as 1,000 USD. What does that mean? Well, you probably do just need to buy a camera, you just need to buy a tripod, what's that small equipment that you need to grow now to move to the next level. So we try to let entrepreneurs come as they are, but also, as I mentioned, this has been born from research work, because when we did our research in 2022, we saw we were catering for what you'd call the big organizations, but then leaving out the majority of the creative entrepreneurs, because most of them operate as individuals, not as registered businesses, as registered corporates. So then we developed various financial products that can fit into at whatever level that you are at. So yeah, at Hiva, we've also financed dreams. You can the dream that you have, we can sit down and have those kind of discussions. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that's quite interesting. There's been a lot of conversations. There was a recent intellectual property report that was released. I don't know if you had the opportunity to read it. It was released also during the Canex event that took place in Africa recently, at Afrexim did. And one of the things they spoke about was the need for African intellectual property to be taken seriously to the point where it can unlock economic value, for Africans. And the author of the reports emphasized the place of also Africans registering their IPs in the U.S. Patent and Trade Office. So basically, to protect it from a global perspective, right? And I think it was a very interesting case that was put forward, and it opened up my mind to a question around the need to, can we really tap the return, the ROI? Because I also understand that you as an investor, as much as you want to be patient with creatives and you want to help them reach their own definition of success, you also have KPIs. You also have your LPs or DFIs that have given you money and expect that you should give them back a return. So do you see us being able to get that return from the local market, or do we need to go to the global audience before we could get that return?
That's an interesting question, because then our local market, we need to put in more work in terms of getting value from the local market. And recently we were discussing about how can we do correct valuations for IPs and royalties. So when someone is going to an investor, they can actually say, my IP is valued at X amount, and last year I received royalties of X amount. So could you front load me a certain amount based on my previous royalties? So it's something that we are exploring. I not have a definitive answer in terms of can the local market be a good market to get revenue from it? I cannot give a very definitive answer, but it's something that we recently have been discussing. How can we also use that as a security or as a point of negotiation also for the creative entrepreneurs? Because then, as you know, having a creative entrepreneur, when you go to probably a financial institution and they ask you for collateral, so then can this be form of collateral that they can use? Yeah, so it's still something that we've been having discussions. So yeah, hopefully sometime mid next year, I should I'll give you a more concrete response. Yeah.
Okay, are you releasing a report on that?
Hopefully we'll have a product that is based on that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That'll be exciting to see. But so going down into the creator economy a bit further, right? I understand that the work that has been happening by investors within the ecosystem has not been to the fullest of potentials, right? So I came across the fact that some people said they, first of all, I mean, like I mentioned earlier, the creators are not investor ready. Then some others say that investors are not willing to do the work, to necessarily get the creators to be investor ready. And but what is one creative enterprise right now, or some that are currently exciting you, and why is it so in Africa?
Our founder keeps saying it's very disadvantageous for us to have favorites. Because then,
Well, I mean, I understand why they would say so, right?
yeah, because then you might have bias when you're coming to evaluations. But then I've seen creative entrepreneurs who've done very well in their businesses. I think I'll give an example of what a business that everybody knows. There's Sauti Soul, there's Sauti Soul the band, but they also have a recording company called Soul Generation. So what Soul Generation have been doing for the last couple of years is bringing other artists on board and having training programs for them and having an end product, which is an album that goes out to the market. So then from that, they're able to build other musicians to get to a level that they got to. And also being trained by actually the four gives you an added advantage compared to other entrepreneurs, other creatives in the market. So for me, their business model really stands out because then it doesn't speak to them individually, because then also you could find if it doesn't speak to them individually, it speaks to another person. So it's uplifting another person to go to the next level. Yeah.
So, but do you see? I mean, I hear that. I mean, also in Nigeria, I saw like the Maven and Universal deal. I don't know if you saw it, where Don Jazzy. Yeah, I mean, that was a very interesting success story that really got me excited about the creative economy, and I feel like should make a lot of funders take things seriously. But what about talking about infrastructure, right? Are we not lacking in infrastructure so that we are able to unlock commensurate value? Because, for example, we do not own our own streaming platforms. We do not own our own. We don't have as many screens for exhibiting our movies and our works. We do not have so much of those channels. So, what are we looking at? And do you think it's something we should pay attention to right now?
Yeah, I believe so. And I remember even when we were having our initial conversation about the challenges that were in the report, and one of them was the access to market. So then, as you mentioned, the platforms, can we have platforms that sell African content and that have algorithms or payment structures that fit for us? So I think infrastructure is a big challenge, because also when I look at also in Kenya, when you say you're going to do a film premiere, you have limited spaces that you can go to. Like I know this November and December, we have so many film premieres that are happening. But also the other challenge could be also when we have all these film premieres, are we putting the information out there? Like how many Kenyans or how many people know that these films are going to be happening on certain dates? Or are we just marketing these to just our fellow film producers, our fellow actors, our fellow people within the creative economy without tapping into who should be our customer? So I think that's also a challenge to other creative entrepreneurs. When you have something, I don't know, is it a lot of marketing strategies behind it? I came across an Instagram video. I can't remember the name of the lady, but she was asking people in the streets of Nairobi, do you watch Kenyan films? And if you watch Kenyan films, where do you watch them? And the response most were giving was, yes, we watch, but we watch them on Netflix, or we watch them on YouTube, or we watch them on Showmax. But then when you look at when you look at the number of films, Kenyan films that are on Netflix, vis-a-vis what is on Showmax, there are so many that are on Showmax. And actually many of them say we don't know where to find them. So it is that we are not putting the information out there for us to be able to get that market. But also the infrastructure bit, can we have platforms that speak to our content and that are able to properly remunerate the sector? Yeah.
That's quite interesting. I mean, I agree with you. We really need to do our own work, to own our own platforms and speak to our own audiences so that it's also available to our own market. I think something interesting that I'm also asking, I think most of the audience would ask is, in terms of numbers, what are the numbers saying? How big is this market? And what level of ROI are we expecting? What are you looking at?
I think I'll base it on the number that you put in your report.
You keep referencing my report.
That was the basis of the discussion.
Yes, okay, that's fine.
It in the tunes of billions of dollars.
Yes.
Yeah, but I also believe, in terms of return on investment, there's return on investment, but then it's return on investment for investors who want to be impact investors. Then if you're a commercial investor with ROIs of probably a short turnaround time of 3 years and you want to make 1 billion Kenya shillings from it, then this might not be the right time. But then if you are an impact investor looking to build businesses sustainably and progressively, then this is the market. So it's also for the investors to understand that, yes, you can get ROI from this ecosystem, but then being patient enough to allow the creative entrepreneurs to create. Also remember, creating, it takes time. As a creator, people they are sentimental to their product. So it's also allowing them time to produce that particular art that they've put in their time to produce. So it has an ROI for especially impact investors. It's definitely a good sector.
There are people who say, obviously, with any nascent industry, I think the creative economy and the creative enterprise in Africa is still a bit nascent. It's more mature in the US because even in India, it has created billionaires in dollars who cut across the creative industry, and which is why Africa cannot be ignored, because we are very rich in culture, we are very rich in stories, we are very rich in creativity. But I mean, along that journey, there will be mistakes. What are some mistakes that needs to be avoided when exploring this kind of industry and looking to invest in this industry? Are there some you can share with us that you've made also in the past 10 years or over the past 10 years that you think is relevant to any investor? Any stories you can tell?
Yeah, I would say one is coming to the sector with an expert at. So, because then you find you've been doing investment analysis for tech companies, agribusiness. So you think, I've been doing this for 15 years, so I can just come and replicate it within the creative economy. And then you find definitely the models within the sector will not be the same as what happens in agriculture. So it's when you come in as an investor in this sector, take time to understand the nitty-gritties and the nuances of the sector. And then also a lot of research has been done on what investment works, what kind of financial products work and which ones don't. Like for Hiva, we've been doing a lot of either debt, revenue share, LPO financing, short-term financing, as opposed to equity, which is a traditional investment, which the traditional investor would mostly want to do is provide equity financing. So for the investors to come understand what are the nitty-gritties of this side, understand it, and make the right decision. But there's so many businesses within this sector that can be looked at by investors. But then I also remember when you said about the launch of about the declaration that was made about a certain amount that was going to be put in within the African creative economy. And then the post over the weekend about, will this money ever really get to us? Because also we find a lot of declarations. Nowadays, there are so many conferences about the creative economy, but then how does that then come down into the sector, as opposed to having declarations during conferences and then what happens after that? But then when you make such kind of declarations, then for me as a creative entrepreneur seated in Kenya, I will know something good is coming. And I'll be excited. But 2 years, 3 years down the line, I cannot see anything. So it's also making declarations when you've already done the groundwork. So as opposed to making an announcement and then you come to do the groundwork after and realize what you actually promised or declared cannot work. So it's for the investors, first do the groundwork and then come and say, yes, based on what we've done and the research we've done, we can actually provide an X amount to the sector. Yeah.
Okay, but then again, are we saying that we still need some more time for the market to mature?
I would not say that. I would not say that we need more time for the market to mature, because also in every market there are businesses within different life cycles. Within the creative space, we have mature businesses. We have businesses that are coming up. So there's the market. If you're looking for mature businesses within the sector, sales businesses do exist. But then the biggest majority of them are the micro, small business enterprises that need a lot of support. So then can we also then support these businesses to move them to mature businesses? But I think the market is very mature, very.
Yeah, I mean, but what's causing your leaning towards debt or LPO financing rather than equity?
It's because of the people that we want to serve. Also, remember, Hiva is an impact fund, so we really want to help you, the direct creative entrepreneur, the person. So you find you've been given, a DJ has gotten a gig to perform at a certain festival. They do not have the decks they need to hire. So how are we able to finance you as opposed to financing the big organization? Because then we want to see more people happy. That's the point. We want to see more people happy. So it's developing products that speak to majority of the people that we want to serve, as opposed to products that serve a certain niche. But also for that mature market, we are also probably sometime next year we also start exploring equity. But in the meantime, what we've been doing for the last 11 years is debt financing, which could be revenue share, LPO financing, short term, long term, yeah. And which has really worked which has really worked because also we allow you to have conversations with us in terms of this how business has been doing. This month has not been good. So we say, okay, what can we do to assist? We've also found ourselves supporting the businesses that we invest in. So if we need we need a particular item within the office, we look within the portfolio that we have, where can we get it from? If it's a service, who can we get it from? So that at least we continually continue to support these businesses. Yeah.
Also, do you see a scenario where grants and what role are grants playing? Are we taking the wrong approach with grants?
No, I would not say we are taking the wrong approach in grants. It's just that we know grants are not sustainable. They cannot really be used to sustain the business. But grants are very good in terms of, one, they can help you to better your product. So for instance, if you need better production equipment, from a grant you're able to buy the equipment and start doing better production and have better products and better services. So grants have quite a big advantage. It's just that at times, because of what the grant is specified to do, it might limit your cultural thinking. So it might force you to only think of what a particular donor wants and fix you in that particular way. So there's a bit of limitation in terms of cultural thinking, but the biggest advantage is it helps to better your products and services. And then also grants also comes with a lot of capacity building, where people get to upskill their skills. There's technical skilling, upskilling, reskilling. It also helps to generally build your skill. I think I would say those two. But also recently, I would say through a grant, we were able to get an accredited program, a poetry accredited program, where you can actually say, I went to a certain university and I am a poet by training. So, but that was only able to be facilitated through a grant, and it was raised, I think, between sometime in June, July. Yeah, they got the accreditation to actually now deploy the poetry curriculum.
What's your investment thesis as Hiva now? Do you invest in the individual? Do you invest in the market? Do you invest in the product? Do you what's your investment thesis right now for the various ticket sizes that you cut?
So we have different. So there's some that we invest directly to the individual. Like I've said, we have products that are as low as $1,000. Someone who's starting up, and we push together like a starter kit for them. So then, if you're in field, we have developed different kits for the different subsectors. So if you're in fashion, there's a kit that these are the basics you need for you to get into fashion. But that's through a grant. And then if you're in film production, these are the basic starter kit that you need. And you're able to get that kit and start getting into your venture. But then also we have the ones that goes into organizations. We also invest in the organizations. You're doing a film and you need financing for production. We'll also do that. In fashion, you need to buy fabric. We also do investment for the businesses. That's what for the businesses has been what has been happening for the majority of our period. But now the individual, this is based on research, because then when we went out to the market, we realized our products are focused to the institution. Then what happens to me, the individual comedian, me, the individual DJ that does not have an organization, but I am doing business. So what happens to me? So then we develop those products to serve the individuals. So yeah.
Okay, so your investment thesis is around the individual and the organization.
The individual and the organization.
Are you focused only on Africa, on Kenya, or are you focused on Pan-Africa?
No, we are focused on Pan-Africa. We currently have investments in Rwanda, Tanzania, Uganda. Yeah, and we recently closed out a grant. It was a grant facility was run by EU. It was called Ignite Culture Fund. It was in 14 African countries. It's the one that I said at least was able to bring about the accreditation of the poetry program. Yeah. So we are not only in Kenya.
So how do people? I mean, you don't have anything in Nigeria?
Not yet, but we will sometime in February, March next year.
Why did you laugh? Oh, really? We should expect something.
You should expect something.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
We'll be expectant. I mean, I'm sure
Yeah.
You say?
I'm sure you know. I'm sure you've got some bits and pieces of the information, but we'll do the info sometime next year.
Okay, I look forward to hearing about that, really, because I'm sure that the Nigerians watching this will be like, "Hello, what about us? You just mentioned Tanzania." I also know that a lot of people watching this will ask themselves, "Oh, I've got a creative project. Is this something that I could reach out to Heva Fund about?" How do you guys invest? Is it typically like you could send us an email, or how do you typically go about the process?
So anytime we want to make investment, to do open calls for application. So on our website or even on our social media pages, anytime there's an open call, there's always the link out there for people to do applications. So we don't receive applications on email unless it's on a rare occasions where maybe it's just but on very rare occasions. So mostly our applications are done online. The links are always provided. But also we find there are a couple of mistakes people make when they're applying for these facilities. So yeah, people make a bit of mistakes.
What are the mistakes?
So one of the things that we try to do is standardize applications. Okay. To provide template. So if it's a budget template, to provide you the budget template, a proposal template. But then you'll find people just uploading the proposal they had sent to you guys. and sent to different other people without following the format. So then that becomes a bit of hard work on our side, and also a disadvantage to the creative entrepreneur, because then if I have 50 applications and 45 have followed the format, then I'll go with the 45 as opposed to picking what you provided and putting it in the right template. And also the mistake is usually failure to just do the reading through and seeing you've been asked to attach just a link of your social media pages or at where is your work, etc. You find people not uploading what the documentations that are required. Yeah, so it's just it's mistakes that are associated mostly with when you read the application and then you do opposite of what is required. They're usually very small mistakes, but they are very costly mistakes. They are small, but they will not take you to they will not move you to the next evaluation phase.
Yeah, I mean, there's a human being at the other side who also wants you to make his process easier. So he won't have time to look through your deck, your documentation that you sent another way when he has 100 more to look through.
Yeah.
That's
Then
actually
the effort of giving you the template. Kindly use this and answer 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions. But then your pitch deck has 69 slides and 60 questions. So yeah.
I mean, also, one of the things I was considering when I was thinking about this particular episode was the fact that a lot of young African creators have not really taken their creativity as a business, and that's actually the focus of this podcast, right? Because I'm running a series on creative capital, and the whole idea is for more creatives to understand that there is a business here and there are key tools that you need to put in place to build a business out of it. And my goal of saying that is, as we fix to round up on this episode, what are some tips that you have? I mean, you are a finance person. What are some tips that you have for young creators, and what's something that they should begin doing today, to help them go? Because also too, when I speak to some of the creators, they have something called the creator dilemma. And what that means is they could actually do whatever they are doing for free. So sometimes some of them even feel guilty to actually charge someone for it. So they struggle with having that scientific approach towards their work where they document. I mean, I know a man who is in the fashion space. I reached out to him. He reached out to me once and he was like, he wanted to raise some money for his business. And I told him, I said, okay, how much did you make last year? And he couldn't really tell, and I was like, why can't you tell how much you made last year? And it really got me, because then again, I don't even know if you're credit worthy. I know he's credit worthy because of the quality of clientele I've seen him have, but then again, it just shows that you won't manage my money well, and I'll find it hard to get back my money. So, but what are some tips that you could give to young creators?
I think the first one would be view your creative art as a business. So what you've said is you can actually offer it for free, but then really, is that the right direction, or is that the right thing to do for yourself as a creative entrepreneur? So it's viewing your creative art as a business that will actually help go the extra mile. And once you view your creative as a business, then put measures of a normal business. So one of the things that I really encourage creative entrepreneurs to do is just start the basic bookkeeping. So you could do it on an Excel sheet where you record based, are you doing monthly sales, quarterly sales, or is it even project based? But you record and see, this is the revenue, this is the income I made in this particular period. And then on the second, or still on the same, at a different sheet, list down all your expenses. What are all the expenses that you've been cut? And from there, at least see what profits you're making. With that, it will help the creative entrepreneur to actually see, I can really make a living from this. And if you're not making a living from this, then that means if you don't have any profits after you've done your income, after you've done your income analysis, you find you're making losses. That could mean you're also not pricing right. But also pricing is a factor of your expenses. Are you able to write down the expenses that you're going to incur to produce maybe that particular fashion item that you're producing? So that would definitely be very helpful. Write down all the expenses you're going to incur and then define what is your profit margin. So if I incur 1,000 USD to make a certain product, then what becomes my profit margin? Is it 50? Is it 30? But then at the end of the day, that goes back to bookkeeping. Bookkeeping does not need to be very complicated. You can actually do it on a handbook. You can actually do it on a black book. You can actually handwrite it. You can actually just do a normal Excel sheet, but also online there are systems that you can use. So also the other bit about pricing, there you've said you can give your art for free, you can provide your services for free, but then you need to be able to price them. For people in fashion, it becomes easier because you have tangible things. You have a fabric, you have thread, you can actually quantify what you're putting in. But then in other subsectors, probably someone in performing arts, then you're not able to quantify because what you're providing is a service. So also that is looking back and seeing what cost you're going to incur. So if you have an event, you have studio, you need rehearsal spaces. So then if you don't take into consideration the cost you're going to incur before you do the performance, you might end up undercharging because you think I'm only coming to perform for 20 minutes. But really, you've put in 7 days of work. So yeah, for me, I would just tell them the normal basic bookkeeping will show you that you can actually make a living from this. Yeah, meaningful livelihood, that is. Yeah.
As we fix to close, what's something that's getting you excited currently about the creator economy? Is there anything that you're seeing that's making your thesis worth it, or you're excited about that you're like, oh, I'm so happy that this is happening right now, and this is going to make the creator economy better?
I would say one of the things that's really exciting is within the film industry or performing art. For me, I keep saying I would go to a theater any day. When you have a theater and a concert, you'll definitely find me in the theater. So I've seen some of the people when you have a show and people came, there was a ticketed show, you performed, and then now it's recorded and you don't put it on the normal platforms, like you put it on YouTube or Showmax or Netflix. Then they go and generate a platform and then provide you a link. So you just get to pay X amount to access that particular link. And then you're able to watch the content. You're able to watch that particular skit or play or even the comedy show that you are not able to attend. For me, that speaks about us being able to have platforms that are African oriented. So then, because this money that we are paying on that platform, 100% directly goes to the creator, as opposed to having aggregators in between. So for me, that is really exciting. And when I see people advertising their films and saying it's going to be recorded, and then we are going to provide a link later, and also they give you the leeway to say, but they have a minimum. They say minimum is $5. But you can give us 10, 100, you can decide. But our minimum is this. So it even allows them to earn more. Because then if I really am your fan, but I am based out of Nairobi and I was not able to attend, I can actually say, let me just pay 100 USD for this. And maybe the ticket was $5. So that's really exciting, because then it speaks more about their sustainability, as also building platforms that are for us. For me, that's really, I've been lucky.
I mean, I agree that's actually very exciting. The rise of our own infrastructure that would help empower more creators to earn more, because I think one of the challenges that I was discussing with my team earlier this week, or last week actually, was the fact that there are only 3 existing major platforms for creators, especially in the film space. Not just general like content creators, but in the film space, there are 3 major platforms for them to monetize now: YouTube, Netflix, and Showmax. And
Yeah.
I mean, some places you have Canal Plus, but
Mm-hmm.
besides those platforms, there are really literally limited places for you to monetize as a young filmmaker. And
Mm-hmm.
some of the things that we are seeing with that is that even those on YouTube are struggling a bit
Yeah.
because even the cost per thousand is not necessarily
Mm-hmm.
commensurate to the amount of money they want to put into the projects.
Mm-hmm.
And it has kind of put a cap on how much they can even invest into a project. And this
Mm-hmm.
actually affected also me because I have some projects that I'm trying to put out, but I'm like, the amount of money I'm going to spend on this, I'm not
Yeah.
sure YouTube will be able to give me back that revenue
Mm-hmm.
at best, right?
Yeah.
And then
Mm-hmm.
also you have the issues around Netflix. Netflix can take so much. It can't take
Mm-hmm.
everything. It can only take so
Yeah.
much. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Showmax too can just take so much. It
Mm-hmm.
can't take
Yeah.
everything. And even when you look at platforms like Canal Plus, likewise, So
Mm-hmm.
I think the opportunity is quite clear, and we
Yeah.
need to also go beyond because we're also talking about the monetization framework that
Mm-hmm.
we've seen so far and how some Africans are looking for more flexible ones. I don't need to have a month-long subscription. I can just watch,
Yeah.
pay for whatever I want to watch.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm done, I'm done. Watch what I want to watch. When I'm done, I'm done. And I think
Mm-hmm.
we need to see more platforms, flexible platforms like that, built for Africans by Africans. And I think the thing I'll be very excited about, even the
Mm-hmm.
most, will be to see the global market, like
Mm-hmm.
African creators earn in foreign currency from these platforms that will be created by
But
people in the
yeah.
ecosystem. Yeah,
Yes.
because
Yes.
then that is also attracting that
Mm-hmm.
global forex,
Yes.
which will be very, very exciting for any African creator.
Very
And
true.
I think that would be very exciting to see,
Yeah.
because then over there, if they spend $5, it means nothing to them, or $2, it means
Mm-hmm.
nothing to them. But over here, if we get a lot of that,
Yeah. Yeah. When you
it means a
convert it,
whole lot.
it's local currency. Yeah.
Exactly, it's going to
Yeah.
mean a whole lot, and yeah, and your inputs are your local currency. So I
Mm-hmm.
actually am hopeful about that. That's something I'm very hopeful about. I see
Yeah.
the opportunity. As a matter of fact, I think I might take a stab at it too, because then again, uh, why don't you put your money where your mouth is? But I actually do see an opportunity
Mm-hmm.
there.
Yeah.
I do see an opportunity there. So, but also something that came up, right,
Mm-hmm.
in conversations with lots of creators is the fact that we need to scale globally, kind of like what you've seen with K. I don't know if you've seen the K drama rave. There's been a whole rave around Korean
Mm-hmm.
drama. I met
Yeah.
someone this week who is also crazy about Chinese drama.
Yeah.
So
They even
there's been
bring
a
it
whole.
in the local languages.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so there are some stations where they just translate. So if it's a local dialect, because then in Kenya we have TV
Yes.
stations of different dialects. So you'll have those Chinese,
Swahili,
uh,
Kiswahili.
yes, in Swahili, in different, yeah. I've not seen any in Swahili, but I've had a couple in the local, in the native languages.
Wow, impressive.
Yeah.
It's impressive. And I'm hoping to now see African content travel the world like that too, whereby
Mhm.
our content gets translated into Mandarin or
Yes.
Korean. I,
Mhm.
I really look forward to seeing that, because then I think we'll really unlock the real gold that
Yeah.
is African creativity.
Yeah.
That's
And
African.
also, I would also love to see us unlocking the African market itself. Because then also we need to be the biggest consumers, the biggest champions for the product and services we produce. Also, there's a bit of preference for the other side as opposed to our products and services. So it's also us unlocking, like seeing fully we've unlocked the African market as well.
Yeah, I mean, just like the way the music has traveled, I
Mhm.
believe the themes and more of our creativity should also travel, the art, the fashion also should also travel, and we'll be able to really get. I mean, I think it's Africa's time, to be sincere, and
Yeah.
I'm very excited about it. I'm very excited about it, and with the work you're doing at Heva is at the front line of it. I think it's really visionary.
Thank you.
Over 10 years doing this before it actually became a buzzword. So
Yeah.
I must give you your
Nowadays it's
flowers.
become a buzzword too. Every conference is a buzzword about creative economy. Even Kenya recently we opened, there's an entire ministry that was set up for the creative economy.
Oh, likewise, over here too, we just had one last year. So we have like Ministry of Creative Economy. I'm like, okay, I guess we
Yeah.
are finally taking this seriously. But I think you
Yeah.
guys have been there before it became a thing. So that's really exciting. But is there anything you would like us to look forward to from Hiva in the coming year that you would like to just announce or share with us?
So I think in the coming years we want to expand more and have bigger outreach within Africa. We've we've really much concentrated on home, and we feel that we have achieved much. We've achieved a lot within the Kenyan market. So next year definitely is going to be a year where we look out into the entire African market, and definitely Nigeria is going to be a market of interest to us. Definitely, yeah.
Yay! Nigeria is finally an interest point. It's been really exceptional having you. Do you have any final words to creators or creative entrepreneurs or investors who are watching this?
I think the creative entrepreneurs is view your creative side and your creative business as an actual business. Work towards making a livelihood from it, and work towards putting your books together, so even when you come for investment, then you can actually tell in 2024 I made 10,000. And also the other challenge, the creative entrepreneurs, put your work out there, have get get to us in the market. And yes, for the investors, I would say, please, we welcome into this market. We are ready to share our insights, what we've learned for the last 11 years, what works, and what areas of improvement that we could want to see. But please don't shy away from the creative economy. There's a lot of impact investment that can really go a long way for the creative economy. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Karimi. It was really great having you, and I look forward to collaborating, working with you to solve. Because I mean, we are facing similar directions, which is the creator economy and the creative
Yeah.
economy, and ensuring that we help Africa find its voice, get its place, and also develop that economy to a point that it can create wealth for everyone within it in the long term. So I'm
Yeah.
very excited that you were able to join me on this episode today. And thank you for making out time. And I look forward to coming over to Nairobi. I heard it's a very beautiful place. Never been,
Yeah.
but it's on my bucket list for next year. I'm
Yeah.
actually, yes, I actually heard very good things, but they
Mm.
said I shouldn't come during Christmas too, that it can be very boring. So maybe I'll look forward to next year.
Yeah, Christmas, it's not really boring, just that people are either in Masai Mara or in Mombasa. People are out in the village. People are not in Nairobi,
Hmm.
but it's a nice place. And our airport is
I look
quiet.
for okay. I look forward to it. Thank you so much, Dr. Karimi.
Thank you so much.
So, if you enjoyed this episode, I want to encourage you to like, share, subscribe, share this with someone who needs to watch this video. A lot was shared, a lot was unpacked in this episode about the investing in the creative economy and imputing creative capital into the African ecosystem. Thank you for joining us today, and do share your questions or comments below. And if you need more information about the speaker, Heva Fund, and the work that they do, check the comment section. There will be more information about that there. Thank you very much for joining us, and see you on the next episode.